every organization eventually must defend their organization with AI.
Welcome to the Security Cocktail Hour. I'm Joe Patty.
Well, I'm Adam Roth, I think.
You think? No, I know you're Adam Roth, and it's a good thing because we got a good show today, Adam. We have one of my favorite type of people on. We have not just a consultant, but a consulting manager, and I love consultants because they just see everything. You know, they get a whole view of the whole world, not just like what their company's doing. Like you. You only know one thing.
Me? I do know that consultants are really good at bringing in revenue if they know what they're doing.
That's true. It's actually a little joke with Adam that he has more side jobs and professions than anyone else, but that's a whole other story. But in the meantime, we have Karin Lagziel. Karin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. Hey, Joe, Adam. My name is Karin Lagziel. I'm a director of cyber services at Sygnia, and I've been at cybersecurity consultancy, as Joe mentioned, for 15 years now. So very excited to be here, talk about my favorite topic.
15 years. You don't look like 5 years over 20.
I started when I was 3.
Good job.
Yeah, well, it's good to see young people in the industry. That's cool. But we know it's interesting. We know Sygnia for quite a while. We've just happened to work with them for a bit, but we haven't actually worked with you though. I think you started after we since we've
Yes,
not been working with them so much. And you're a little unique because I think, well, you're not the first, but you are Israeli, of course, but you're
guilty.
not from 8200 and you're in
Correct.
cyber and it's Sygnia, right?
Correct. Yes. I moved out from Israel to New York about when I was 23. So I kind of skipped that and started my career in cyber consultancy and didn't go kind of the different route that you know today, as of a lot of Signia's staffs are from X8200 and a lot of great Israeli cybersecurity startups as well. Yeah.
Joe, do you remember how we found Karen?
Why don't you tell me how we found Karen?
A year ago, almost this month. I mean, maybe next month, but we went to see her speak. Not we didn't specifically go to see her speak, but we saw her speak at New York City Cyber Tech.
That's right. I used to go to
Yeah.
conferences. You meet
Yeah,
fabulous
that's
people.
correct. Yeah, I give a speech about we're talking about cybersecurity, AI security, and all the fun AI matters, of course. It was fun conference. It was great to see you guys there.
I was gonna say myself, I'm trying to get a more on the conference trail. I just came back from Government Tech Con in Washington D.C. and I got to tell you, when you go to a tech conference, you really do learn a lot, not only from what people are saying, but from the people that are there and what they're speaking and what they're feeling and what they want and what they need. So it was great to meet you there, and it's great to go to any conference these days.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of conferences that I lately go to, I'm sure you as well, AI is a big, obviously, topic in those conferences, but I think it's, as you said, right? It's great to see a lot of different industry leaders, whether it's in security or legal or, financial or healthcare, it doesn't matter, or different kind of sectors as well. But it's great to learn from them, kind of from their challenges dealing with AI. I feel like AI is fairly new to all of us. We're all struggling in different aspects, whether it's a governance or security or adoption or, from CISO to staff. So it led me as well, Adam, kind of similar like you, to really learn from um, other leaders what are their biggest challenges and kind of just share and kind of community to share knowledge and to learn from each other. So I really like that as well.
Yeah, well, I've been looking forward to us talking here because you mentioned AI in the first 5 minutes, which is great. And I have an AI question that's kind of current. So we're going to get some free consulting too. Um,
Sure.
I saw there is that new thing. What are they calling that? Villager. They say it's the new AI version of Cobalt Strike, where some Chinese outfit put together I guess like an agent-based AI thing that just goes and hacks like crazy. was ransomware, and that
Yeah, I just saw that too.
at least a week or so ago, it just struck me because we've talked about AI on the show before and in other places, and we keep hearing like, yeah, it's making people work faster. It's people are writing code with it and everything, but we hadn't really seen anyone really leveraging the technology in a fundamental new way from a security perspective. This looks like it might be it. I was curious if you guys have, if you can talk about it, if you've bumped up against this or anything like it lately.
What I see from security perspective or clients of ours that adopting some kind of tools, I do see that all of the big techs and all of the solutions are expanding to AI models, right? So I think from business perspective, that's your competitive edge, and also you have to kind of advance with the AI in the wrong hands, which we call it, right? The good and evil battle. So I would say I do see a lot of use cases being applied in cybersecurity. Of course, outside of cyber, that's in every aspect of organization, from finance to HR to legal to audit and assessments, right? But in terms of security, and again, I'm not gonna call out specific names or vendors, but I think there is a good evolution that I see here, that using more and more agentic AI, right? We started with Gen AI, which was great. We were able to more use it for call centers or text summarization, things like that. But in cyber, we see a lot of SOC augmentation. So basically using a lot of those repetitive tasks of analysts that help them to summarize an alert or to do threat hunts, to do like kind of AI red teaming and autonomous identify vulnerabilities. So I see a lot of those areas that are being applied, but I also see that we need to continue to kind of developing those and monitor the effectiveness and model drift, right? Because not always you can trust the results. You need to insert a lot of quality data and monitor that continuously, and it takes a lot of power and compute. So it's much more complex than that. I do think we are getting there, and it's getting actually faster than ever. I think the new thing is really agentic AI, which is the more autonomous way of defenders and how we apply that.
I'm going to throw a couple curveballs in here. When I went to this government tech conference, I met some government contracting companies or companies that want to sell to government contracting companies. And there was like two or three things that we spoke about. One was one vendor has an LLM that can ingest video in real time and alter the video via AI to remove objects they don't want people to see on the screen. And I'm
Wait,
going to believe that
in real time.
in real time. So basically, there's an interception of that stream. That stream turns around and rewrites the video and removes certain things from it. And I think it has some government use. The other AI person I spoke to, his job is to utilize AI to help government contracting companies get government contracts. So it writes their bids and puts things together in such a way that they can get government contracts. The third thing I'm going to talk about is, yeah, I'm going to brag. I just passed my FAA 107 UAV or drone certification. But
Congrats.
thank you. But there's something called the FFA 107 waiver for beyond visual line of sight, and there's also a new one coming out called the FAA 108. Why is this important in AI? Beyond visual line of sight, meaning you don't watch the drone where it's going, you're flying it autonomously. AI now is doing everything it can to have collision deference, so it doesn't, so your drone doesn't crash into other drones, and it recognizes objects. It knows how to fly around them. It knows how to alert on them. So it's really interesting how these drones now. It's kind of like your car. Like you're driving your car and it
Mm-hmm.
sees a car but it brakes. It
Yep.
does the same thing for your drone. But the more advanced the AI gets with the drone, the more it's able to recognize objects, notify you of objects, call out verbal commands and things to let you know, like how you hear a plane pull up, something like that. That drone's gonna tell you all that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think that exactly like that's the LLM, right? Like that's the kind of advancement of that we see with Gen AI, which before was more rule based, or we had AI, we had some machine learning, but I think exactly the beauty of it is the real time, a large amount of data analysis, whether it's text and videos and images, and then based on specific model, right? You teach the model what you want to flag or what you don't want to identify. This is good, this is not good. Stop when you see some break, right? I think that's what really kind of the game changer that we see over the years, right? Before it was, again, we had machine learning and everything like that, but the amount of interpretation that LLM can do, and then if you integrate it with AI agents or agentic AI that can actually take this data that you talked about, Adam, and then actually really perform action,
Yeah.
right? Perform action on that, making decisions. But also, this is the scary part. You mentioned drones or, car that, kind of really from safety perspective or from military intelligence, things like that. AI models bring a lot of concerns, right, and risk, especially in those models if we're talking about prompt injection or poisoning models, right? So those are kind of just a lot of different type of obviously threats that we have now from threats framework that we work on when we're trying to understand what is my model, what are the threats and risk with my model. So for example, data poisoning, it can be to misclassify a stop sign with go, right? So for example, I think they actually had in the prototype of Tesla or something like that happen, if I'm not
That's happened a
mistaken.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's if you think about it, if we moving outside for a second from cyber aspect of that and the use cases in cyber war, I mean it's part of that, but it's more fundamental risk of safety. And I think that's the White House executive order, the AI bill talk a lot about safety from those perspective as well. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's what worries me about the agentic stuff, because they say, oh, it's independent, it can make decisions and everything. That's great as long as it's making good decisions,
So
you know.
yeah, I write about cyber ethical warfare, and one of the concerns that I have is that if you're a nation state and you're going up against another nation, and that nation has AI utilized, and then you poison that AI by LLM injection, and you make now the friendly tanks, the opposition tanks, you're attacking your own. You have no control.
yeah,
You've already compromised that AI, that LLM, that network to seek out its own tanks, its own planes, its own soldiers. This is a different war this is the next war like that. It's going to be a very different war. So one of the things I write about is NATO Article 5, which basically is an attack on one. It's an attack on all. And the collection of states that belong to NATO, they basically talk about what is an attack and what's not an attack. But what's not clearly defined now is cyber warfare. And cyber warfare incorporates AI. What they do talk about is biological, radiological, chemical, and kinetic war. But what if a nation does inject and does cause another country to seek out its own against the Geneva Convention or whatever we want to talk about, whatever frameworks are supposed to be ethical, and you start destroying your own country because you were compromised by another country? It's crazy stuff happening.
yeah. We call it, sometimes I hear the terms and we use it a lot as well, a double agent, right? It's actually legit AI model that you implemented and trust within your organization. But then the attacker weaponized this model. So it's become um, AI attack, basically using your own model. So it's basically the prompt injection is attacker manipulating instructions, if you will, right? The instruction given to the AI model, it gives the instruction that to ignore the safeguards, the controls, and then the hidden malicious actions. So eventually it's kind of similar to SQL injection, if you're familiar with that method, but in AI world is a bit more complicated and complex. Essentially, it's effectively a hijack of the
Well,
model.
it's interesting because it's more complex in one way, but it's less complex in another because we're used to things being hacked. You can hack it, you break in, you compromise it, you can take control and do all kinds of stuff. Okay, that's and that's hard. That's not easy unless something's written really badly. Now with a lot of these AIs and these models, the underlying I don't know, guts of how it's working is very complicated. But it almost seems like with the LLMs, with some of these things like prompt injection, I can't help the feeling that it's like, okay, now with machines, we can try to actually talk a machine into doing something like you could with a person. And so far, they're particularly stupid people who fall for, things that a person would say, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
But then you have those
that's
other
what worries me a lot.
Yeah, but then you have those other people that are doing the opposite, right? They are jailbreaking whatever AI LLM. They're going onto a website for a car dealership and convincing that AI agent to give them a free car, and they've gotten it. They're convincing these agents, that give you pricing to give them a lower price. It's kind of like there's nothing to see here, like Star Wars.
The
Yeah,
Jedi mind trick.
I think you mentioned, Joe, something very true. The scary part, right, with for example, prompt injection or jailbreaking, is that as it used to be, right, you explode the bug in the code. So you have a lot of controls around the code, and you kind of were able to isolate and understand where it's coming from. Whether when we talk about AI LLMs, it's exploit how the model itself works. So imagine it's actually how the computer, how the system works. So it makes it harder to detect and to patch even. And if attackers succeed, it can just literally trick the AI, giving you, as Adam you just mentioned, right? Trick you to giving you sensitive information, bypassing control, telling you, oh, this control whitelist me or don't block me or things like that. So again, it's become very, very complicated because there is kind of like three level of that, right? If you will, every time I try to speak about AI cybersecurity, I see it in really three levels. One is when attackers can now use AI. There is a lot in softwares in the dark web. There is impersonation, deepfakes. They don't need to be smart anymore. I mean, some of them were not before, but saying that the bar is very low. They don't need to know a lot of coding. They don't need to have a lot of money even. They just need to have the motivation. And then the second part will be the AI defense. So how can we use the AI technology and agentic AI to advance our defense mechanism, right? Because the security controls that we have are no longer enough or will not be enough in the near future. And then the third is, okay, now that we're implementing AI and all those models in our organization, not just cyber, right? Think of dozens of use cases for each business unit. Everyone wants efficiencies and right to use that. Now there is expanded attack surface, expanded vulnerabilities, configurations, API, external servers. So it's really those kind of three, I don't know, it helps me to kind of see it in three layers. Hopefully that help you as well. But this is how we start breaking it down and put together those frameworks with our clients.
The third one really scares me because I think the attack surface has just exploded, especially now with the agents and like with MCPs and there go. I mean, I've seen it, using Claude Desktop, and it says, oh, connect to this, connect to your file system, connect to here, connect to there. And you're like, well, wait a minute, this is some serious stuff. And a lot of the code that's out there, I mean, there's some nice people doing a lot of code and everything, and it's in GitHub, but even before we get to malicious, is it safe? Has it been, tested, in a rigorous way? Because, giving it access to your file system or your personal stuff or like, a Dropbox account. Yeah, inboxes, stuff like, and they go, well, to really make it valuable, you got to give it access to all these things. And I'm like, I don't know if I really want to do that. I don't like my provider being able to see my email, much less.
Exactly.
Yeah, but think about that, right? The LLM, they kind of convinced it that they were going to shut it down, and then they kind of injected false information into it, and the LLM's like, well, if you shut me down, I'm going to email your wife that you're cheating on her. Do you remember that one? That was
Yeah.
recent. So
Yeah.
so I don't know, man. There's some rogue LLMs.
Yes, becoming double extortion. But yeah, I think to Joe's point, it's even broader than that. That's what we deal with right now, the big concern of shadow AI, right? So back before, who have the access to really play with machine learning and automation and all that. It was kind of like science, data science people and engineering, and you don't have access, and it's very secure. Now, every web app that you have, everywhere you from any user can just download something, can connect, as you said, right? Oh, connect me to your inbox. A lot of users do that, and CISOs and information or leaders in organization don't have. Sometimes they don't have visibility to that. Where it does start is with education. We need to have training to these users in our organization. You need to tell them what's the risks here. For example, I have a user that I know that used GPT back in the days before it was even kind of like, allowed to use in organization or blocked, and started to put PDFs and Excel, started to upload a lot of sensitive information, just as to summarize information, right? But basically that resulted in leaked sensitive information. So sometimes people don't know what they don't know. I think it's any other cybersecurity awareness and training. This must be a top priority, which is it is. I see it now across a lot of organizations. So that will be first. And then, of course, some security controls, block as much as you can or monitor it at least. But yeah, that's a huge concern. I absolutely agree with you. We used to have shadow IT, now it's shadow AI, which is a much more bigger monster, if you will.
Yeah, and a few months ago we had another guest, Kevin O'Connor, on, and he was saying like, it's the next generation of shadow IT, and he goes, it's shadow development because now everybody's a coder.
Yep.
And and as if that weren't dangerous enough, apparently I've been reading lately that a lot of this vibe coded stuff is actually really low quality, that it doesn't work well besides. So
So Karen, I'm paranoid. I don't think Joe knows that yet. And my thing is, yeah, we're going to use our own enterprise, our own sandbox AI. Nothing's sandboxed. Nothing. Everything is interconnected. Somebody can move laterally from your enterprise LLM. That's I don't even want to have access to my own inbox. So how
Understood.
how do people feel about using their own AI uh, instance in their organization? Are they worried about it? Are they concerned about it?
They do, of course, but I don't think fear should stop you to evolve with technology, and eventually you will lose competitive edge and even operational effectiveness, right? So yes, I hear these concerns. Yes, there is a way to do it step by step. We need to have baseline. We need to have governance and controls and risk assessment and AI inventory. This needs to go through the right channels. We have committees, AI committee, which means you bring a use case, even if it's just enabling some kind of existing software, right? If you already have a software and they enabled AI, you need to understand what it is. Before that, you used to do third-party security assessments. That's calling it right now as well, and understand what does that mean. If I give access, I just worked with a client that was about to give entire access, full control to his inbox, and then we started to kind of narrow it down and go through configuration and say, okay, read only. You cannot write an email for me. You cannot send, because then we already have some research about the AI assistant inbox that basically was able to leak information or even just draft some fake invoices or requests for payments, right? The list goes on. I agree with you, but I do think that there is a way to work slowly with the right governance in place, which is the key, but not to go backwards and not to fear. I do think if your security strategy does not include agentic AI today, you're preparing for yesterday's threat, right? Not today
Yeah.
reality and not to the future. So I think it has to take place, but with the right process, the governance, as I mentioned, policies and the right procedures.
So full transparency, I'm a little bit behind the eight ball, right? I really haven't been involved in enough cyber stuff in my life, especially with AI. We had a woman
Because you're
on.
flying drones around all day
Yeah,
instead of
that's what
like,
I'm doing.
doing cyber like
So
you should.
so
That's
we had a
fun.
woman on last episode. Her name is Yev. She just started doing auditing of blockchain.
Mhm.
So my question to you, Karen, is that something that's happening now where you literally have a whole entire framework to audit people's AI? Is it really that structured these days?
No, it's not structured at all. It is, we do have frameworks. There are tons out there, right? OS threat and LLMs and NIST, and there is tons of information out there, which is good and bad as well. You're almost drowning in that, but also there's a lot of help from community, from public and private. No, it's not straightforward. Every AI needs to understand, is it in-house builds? Is it fine-tuned? Is it just calling APIs? Is it some SaaS and Microsoft Copilot, which can be more structured? Yes, but it's very depend on your environment. So I would say it's very customized as well. We do have the areas, the threat modeling, the frameworks, a lot of those kind of areas, identity and access management. There's a lot of AI agents service account that are a huge, gray area. And what do we do with those? And there's just tons of threats and risks to look at. But yes, if you work slowly but surely, you're able to scale your AI in the future versus now you're trying to just control it, an AI here and there, enable some kind of model here and there, but then you're just drowning with it because it's just going to go more and more, right? You're going to adapt in very rapidly. Especially all I hear today from security side, from CISOs, is the business pressure on them to do that. So that to us, that means that this will not stop. It will continue to grow, and you have to take control over that by governance and inventory and risk assessment and things of that nature.
Okay, now that you've got into the thing, that's kind of the real heart of it, that there's always been the tension between we need to do this now, we need to do this new technology, and AI is moving faster and is more dangerous from a security standpoint than ever before. And that means it's time to take a drink, because I need a drink if we're going to talk about AI governance and
All
stuff.
right.
So
Yes.
I got wine. What do you got there, Karen? You got something interesting, right?
Yes, I have sake, my favorite drink here. It's
You
actually
have
straight
sake.
from Japan. My
Oh, the
sister
good,
just came back from her honeymoon, so I got her real good sake.
oh, the good
Cheers,
stuff.
guys.
Nice.
Cheers.
What are
I
you
was too
having?
scared to
Wine,
have
I
sake.
see.
Yeah, I
Yes.
got a little, I think it's a little Chianti there. And
Oh,
what do you
that's
got there?
nice.
Jack Daniel's watermelon.
Jack Daniel. Oh, never saw that before.
You guys are
Watermelon.
drinking some stuff that just
Well, Joe,
Yo,
takes a
I
party
guess
to the
it's
next
coming
level.
from.
You're
no,
weak.
Joe, this is like drinking seltzer.
Yeah. Joe, I would assume this is coming straight from Milan, which you just came back from. This beautiful wine, or no?
No,
No.
not really. This is actually this is not from Milan. It's not from Lombardy. It's actually Tuscan. It's
My
interesting.
favorite.
Yeah, one of the things that's wonderful about Italy is like, and little diversion here. I'm just back from Milan. I'm always back from Italy, it seems. But you go to the supermarket, and the supermarket is wonderful. The supermarkets there are like a gourmet shop, besides all the excellent shops they have. But the wine is like €4 for like a
Yeah.
halfway decent bottle of wine. I'm like, oh
Yes.
God, the same stuff you'd pay like, $11 for
50.
here.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
like, oh,
Yeah.
Karen, let me ask
how
you
are
a
these people
question.
not all drunks in that country? I don't know.
That's why they're
Who
all
says they weren't?
happy.
I
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
exactly. They look so happy and healthy. They have
So, Karen,
amazing
let me ask
cheese.
you a question.
Yes.
I don't want Joe to hear this. What would
Yes.
you do if, somebody went to Milan, something was inexpensive and didn't bring back a gift? How would you feel
I
for your business
would
partner or podcast
strongly
partner?
consider the future of our relationship.
Thanks for giving me that, insight. Thank you.
Yes, especially from Italy.
Okay,
Um,
I'm going.
but
I'm going
I
back.
don't. I'm not
I'm
choosing
no,
sides here,
no. You
guys.
know what? Okay, I'm going to be back there in a couple months, and
Okay.
I am bringing you back the cheesiest, corniest, most touristy souvenir I can find.
That's okay
Okay?
with me, Joe.
That's okay with you.
Do you know what I used to
Yeah.
remember? You know, it's funny, right? Back in the day when Sygnia was our vendor, they used to send us like wine all the time. That was nice, though. Remember those
Yes.
days? Like we get like a box of stuff. It was
We
nice.
still get those.
Yeah.
Not
I
you.
assume
Not
so.
I know that.
They used to send us good stuff. I mean, one time I opened up
Yeah.
that package, and I know a little bit about wine. I'm like, whoa, this is good. And like, my thing would always be like, oh, we get a bottle of something, we'll have it on a Friday afternoon, we'll share with everyone. And I'm like, I want to keep this one for myself. This
Yeah.
is pretty
Yo, we go
good.
so we go so far back with them. They were team 8.
That's right, back when
Wow.
they were teammate.
Wow. Amazing.
And okay, we talked a little bit about AI. One of the things we used to deal with them a lot, it was ransomware.
Mm.
And you know what? AI is getting all the attention. But the last time we checked in with someone talking about ransomware, they said, oh no, it's still there. The incidents, there are a lot of, it's all ransomware.
I hear
Yes. Oh,
varying things.
absolutely.
How are things looking these days, Karen? Give us a check in on that.
I mean, yes, absolutely. It's growing by the minute.
Growing
Unfortunately, as I
still.
mentioned, actually, yeah, of course, it's been, successful for them. It runs as a business, right? As organization for everything. They have ransomware call centers and
Yeah.
they have hierarchies and they have really serious threat actor groups. So unfortunately, yeah, we still deals with us a lot because it just proof to them as successful. We see a lot of more advanced techniques as well. So we see the capabilities are evolving. And talking about AI, this is exactly the problem because right now, it used to be more, very, very complex groups and nation states, right? The very kind of for if you have a kind of a graph, this will be here like kind of opportunistic hackers, right? And that kind of nation states. Now it's blurred with the AI. Everyone have in the dark web, you have phishing as a service, you have AI agents, malware spreading, autonomous spreading. There's just a lot that you can do.
Oh, on the dark web, besides the regular stuff they're sharing, now they're sharing agentic stuff, AI stuff
Oh
too?
yeah, absolutely. There are
Really?
tons of tools in the dark web that runs as a service. So like if you, for example, if you have a vendor, Microsoft, right, as a service, this is just a similar kind of AI as a service or phishing as a service, ransomware as a service. You have all of those in the dark web, which is makes it just so easy for attacker to do that even more. You don't need to code anymore. There are ransomware that AI agents and open source models that can help you do that. And actually, I think it was in um, the ESET research recently. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just now remembering that. So it actually have a very interesting showing that the developing of a ransomware recently discovered by AI. So AI powered first ransomware discovered by them.
Oh,
If
really?
you, yeah, just you can look through that. It's very interesting. Read it's ESET. It's called Prompt Lock. So I remember when I read it, it was more, it's really showing you how it's using generative AI directly during the attack execution. So not
So it's happening
before.
now.
Oh,
They're really doing
absolutely.
it.
Just think of
Wow.
the power that AI agents have today and what it will be. I mean, this is models evolving every 3 weeks, right? We can't keep up anymore. And we're not even talking about reg and AGI, which is completely different aspect to this whole technology, right? Which the big tech are already working with. But yeah, we had it at Sygnia. We developed that in the lab, but it was even like 2 years ago. It was even still before this all the big LLMs and the agentic AI, and before the kind of more advanced, I would say, technology. And we're able to showcase. We call it Viper AI. Bad evil model Viper. So basically what we did in all, right, you have the kill chain, right? So in all steps of the attack, you're able to use AI model. So reconnaissance, go through all LinkedIn, web, everything to get information, or even as a target, summarize to me which targets I should focus on and why, right? More exposure, less regulation, maybe things like that. Reconnaissance was able to identify a person from IT in LinkedIn, and then I able to identify some WordPress external surface, and then writing the ransomware code and deploying. Very interesting use case to show. And I'm just telling you, it was 2 years ago. We showed it actually. We demonstrated a teammate. You mentioned teammate, right? Every year they have events, so we really did that kind of research and showcase that. And it
Oh,
just showing you that you don't need now a lot of human intervention. So if you're an attacker, now today you need to sleep, to eat, you need maybe some funding, you need some skills. You don't need those anymore. You can also do it in parallel, multiple targets. You don't need
you
to
know,
sleep, you know?
now I know why you weren't too impressed by the villager stuff when I brought it up, because you had this stuff 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
We,
You
you
know,
know.
I find it really cool now that and not that it's now, it's been for years, but people do ransomware as a service like it's eBay or Amazon. So people stand up their ransomware, their Cobalt, whatever it is, and then they work with other people who are affiliates. And those affiliates use their agents, but they populate those agents with their codes, their affiliation code, so that when ransomware happens, they get a percentage of that money from the infrastructure that's already been stood up. So it's like it's amazing. Like, oh, I'm affiliated with this organization's ransomware. I send out their agents. If it gets done, they send me a certain amount of money, but they use their infrastructure, and the money goes to them, and I get a percentage of it. It's really cool.
Yeah, like cool
I
for
don't, I
them.
don't, I
Yes.
don't approve of it, but I'm just saying
Yes.
it's an interesting business model.
Yeah. And it's only growing. And I think also, yes, we talked about AI agents and using AI and LLMs to actually execute an attack in real time again. But also, don't forget where a lot of our ransomware coming from still phishing, right? Impersonation. Of course, there are still, talking about some misconfigurations and third parties, of course. But I'm saying still a lot of those come from phishing. Gen AI now have very realistic and deep faking and voice and images and real-time even conversations that they can mimic, which
Yeah,
which really increase those kind of phishing the success rate, right? Because even if
yeah,
before you had those awareness and now users know how to look at mistakes, no mistakes now. Gen AI have grammar checks and images. It can literally impersonate a person. I saw an article kind of using some tool creating your fake ID and just very impersonation, creating your website if you're a company, creating fake website, LinkedIn. Just I'm talking about like taking it for, even espionage or nation state. There is just a lot, just enough with deepfake and phishing, let alone all the other things that we talked about as agentic AI being used by attackers. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, originally when I guess going back, God, it's almost 3 years when the first Gen AI thing exploded. We started worrying about, oh wow, okay, now we're not going to be able to tell that the person who wrote this that their English isn't so good or whatever. But
exactly. I
they've
still
gone
get
a
those a little bit, and I'm like, huh,
little bit,
I'm laughing. I'm
but
like, okay.
they've gone so far beyond that, from what I
Yeah.
understand. And not only
Yes.
is it, native speaker level for whatever the language is, but also, like you're saying, they're doing like they can use specific industry terms. If they get a hold of someone's email in a company, they'll use like, the acronyms and kind of their own company speak what they do.
Yeah,
Like, wow,
exactly. In
that's
seconds.
tough. Yeah, that
It
is
used
tough.
to be you need 3 months to rent for ransomware, and now it will be 2 days, right? So also we're talking about the changes of the time, the duration, the implications, the sophistication, which really means, again, we're going back to the same kind of point that we talked about. Every organization eventually must defend their organization with AI. Because if they're fighting with AI, you need to fight with AI with a real-time adaptation and more predictive, able to analyze vast amount of data from different sources in real time. No human can do that, and no system can do that even as of today. So yeah, this is the future we're looking at. And I would say, you know, we're working a lot with kind of first steps we talked about, right? Is the strategy. Let's talk about a little strategy. Take a little low risk scenarios first, right? Maybe internal that are not something externally used by customers and no sensitive information. So you can still you start with that. You start with some governance around AI agents and governance around in general AI. Yeah, and you
Okay,
go.
I know that's the right answer, good governance and everything, but governance is boring. The bad guys have all this cool stuff. And we've talked a lot about the threat side and the offensive side. What do we have on the defensive
I was
side,
just going
though?
to ask that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How do we
But I want to
fight
qualify that, Joe.
back?
I know there's
What's
better
that?
tools to defend against it. My question first is, what tools do you have, if any, to reverse the ransomware, to inject keys, to I guess to find a way to not have to worry about getting their keys from them? Is there better ways to unencrypt ransomware without their use, their help? No, right?
The I wouldn't say no. I'm not familiar with anything at this point. I don't think we have. I've seen anything like that. I think we still have the same concerns. Let's not forget, yes, maybe we increased and adapt new and advanced technology, but the goal is the same for attackers, and it haven't changed. The goal is to get money, most of the time, right? If it's not nation state or espionage, but that's what they do, and then the company will have to make decisions, pay or not pay, see if they have backup, see if they understand, maybe if they have better logins and understand what kind of data was exfiltrated, they will be able to make better decisions. But we cannot fight yet ransomware. Like I wouldn't say, oh, we have a tool for defensive. There's no one magic tool. You have to just start building AI agents and models in every aspect. Like right now, you have teams of humans in information security, right? You have analysts, you have engineers, you have any type of different roles. Those will need to be augmented with AI agents. Eventually, analysts will be AI manager, right? The future is
Yeah,
that we will manage the AI agents versus we'll make them kind of do the work and then review their outputs and kind of work with that.
yeah, I've heard that's the trend, that basically the tier one analysts,
Yeah.
as if they weren't
For
threatened
now, the
enough
tier
by
one, yeah.
plain old SOAR, they're
Yeah.
going away, and it's becoming more
Country,
like, yeah, agent manager.
what
Yeah.
country
Yeah.
now just put in place that AI manager that manages corruption? They got rid of the human.
Yes.
It was Albania or
What's
Maybe
this?
Croatia? Croatia?
anti, not Croatia. Well, I know
But
what you
whatever it
mean. I
is, they
just
have
saw it.
they're like, yeah, we don't need a body anymore. We're gonna have this AI agent
AI
manage
governance. Yeah.
corruption. It
Yeah.
was like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it started, but again, it's more. I kind of read actually about it. It was interesting to me, but it's what we're going towards. I think everyone asking, right? Will AI replace our jobs and all of that, right? I see tremendous opportunities of growth and new business and new revenues using AI. I see my friends that used to, take months to have develop develop social media content or marketing and PR of videos. It takes like minutes now. There's a lot of places you can actually hire it online to kind of pay by the job, using a lot of those things, AI content and videos creation. There's AI education. There's a lot of people kind of coming writing books and educate people about it. There's just a lot of you needed to learn 4 years of coding in order to get a job. Well, now you don't, but you do need to. I would say if you don't want to be replaced, if you will, I don't like this word, but you need to learn how to work with AI because your job can be better by, doing AI. For example, marketing, if you used to sell something for 50K, take you 3 months, maybe now you can break the market and sell it take you 2 hours and you can sell it by 5K. Again, I don't know the business models. I'm just saying there is a lot of opportunities out there. I see real estate. You can just do simulations and kind of targeting the right people to sell the houses, right? Again, I just talking to my friends and kind of understand from their perspective. Fashion, I already see, which is actually exciting for me as well as a woman that interested in fashion, is kind of simulation of sending my picture and seeing how that look might look on me or look for me online, like
Or the
in my
dresses, yeah.
range of prices, how where can you buy that, or even hair and makeup. Again, we're kind of moving on from the subject, but I would say that, and I do see that we will just manage more AI versus versus just kind of continuing to be those task-oriented humans, if you
I
will.
heard a rumor that a certain podcast host is looking to get rid of his co-host
Hmm.
by replacing them with an AI agent. I don't know if that's true, but
His name is
Uh,
Adam.
no, that podcast host doesn't want to replace his co-host on air, but he does need to automate the whole podcast production because his co-host doesn't do any of it.
Yeah, I
oh,
think that's a place you can use AI,
wow.
definitely.
Is
I feel like, wait, who are you talking about, Joe?
something I heard somewhere. No, really, I am we already a little behind the scenes. Not that it's that exotic, but we already use a lot of AI to do a lot of the editing
Yeah,
and produce the show
absolutely.
and stuff. But I mean, I want to automate
Yeah,
as much as we can. Really do it all
of
because a
course.
lot of it really is tedious, repetitive, and all. And whenever I see these things, I'm like, yeah, we
Because a
can
certain
get an
person's
AI
busy
to
going
do
to
this
Milan
now.
all the time. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, I bring the laptop with the official sticker. Well, you can't see it on camera, but yeah, I'm
Yeah,
always working on the show.
so
Always.
I know you
Anyway,
are. So there's no doubt in my mind AI is going to change the market, but this is no different from like 30, 40 years ago when people were like, yeah, the computers are going to replace humans. Certain aspects of it, but then things evolve. You learn,
Correct,
you
correct.
adapt, and then little by little, as that technology grows, people do find jobs.
Yep,
So yeah, I get it. Like, people were first like, oh, farming, we don't want to use machinery, we want to use humans. And then machinery came. And then machinery has improved things and has improved costs. Not everything is always positive, but for the
correct.
most part, there's a positive part because you're allowed to expand your operations beyond what you normally would do. And if you know how to utilize it correctly, you can do more with less.
Yeah,
But it's not always, some people obviously don't adapt, don't change. I mean, look, I don't want to lose my job to AI,
right,
but
right.
there's always a possibility.
Yeah, and I
yeah,
think you
because
put
they're
it,
never gonna replace drone pilots with AI, so you're safe.
yes.
Oh
I
my
think you put
God.
it very nicely. Like that's usually kind of where I explain to people. I think that's very great example to look at the internet, right? Back in the days. And that's just the evolution of it. And look at now, the internet have online stores that today would not be as successful if it was only a physical stores. For example, there is education, communities, full degree you can do online, right? There's just tons of positiveness. There was then the jobs of web developing and marketing of your web, and there's just a lot of those kind of things that help those businesses. Unfortunately, yes, with every evolution, there will be some kind of jobs that will have to eventually kind of, gradually cease to exist. I'm not saying right now, right? Like it will take some years, but eventually, yes, more robotics will take you. Look at the robots. I'm hoping to buy one of those AI robots that Elon
Oh,
Musk is
the Boston
developing, the
Dynamics,
Optimus.
Oh,
Boston Dynamics.
Yeah.
I've
I
I've
see him
already
like literally doing dishes and cleaning the house. And obviously, we're not talking about the scary part of that, but I'm just saying, eventually, in your home, I think in every household, we will have a lot of those AIs, if whether it's a robot or meta glasses or your phones. It will be as Zuckerberg called it, right? He's trying to make a super intelligent one AI, right? It will be your assistant, seeing everything you see, analyze that, helping you in everything, good or bad. But if that's the case, we need cybersecurity even more. We need to secure your privacy, your identity.
So this is a conversation we had in my class the other day, and we're talking about AI and the growth of AI. And then the powerful conversation was about whether AI can have consciousness. And then people were like, no way, you have to be human, this and that, and everything. But they also said that nobody would ever go to the moon. They also said that we'd never have planes. So you never know. Maybe we're going to have a certain level of consciousness. I think, and especially with biocomputers, computers that use proteins, computers that that can kind of sort of morph a little bit into brains. But you don't know what's going to happen. But we do know that I'm looking for Sarah Connor. I'm sorry,
All
Terminator.
right. Now we're getting into philosophy and film reference. So, all right, that kind of brings us to last call then,
Oh, sorry
as
about
we
that.
get as we get to the end. God, before we
Well, let's
start
toast
getting
to
really
Sarah
weird.
Connor, Terminator.
I'm not sure if I want to, but okay.
One of the great female action stars, actually. But in any case, Garrett, as a parting thought, all kidding aside, as security professionals, we do have to defend against this stuff. I mean, what would you suggest that people, focus on and spend some time on?
Yeah, call Karen at Sygnia.
Just learn,
Exactly.
besides calling Sygnia for help.
Yes.
Just, I mean, looking into the agentic stuff, where do you see a lot of value that people really need to?
Yeah, so I think, again, to just summarize what we kind of touched upon during this conversation, it will start with some kind of strategy just to understand the use cases, right? Just understand what are the use cases, where does it make sense to start? Just start somewhere. Um, have a conversation with global leads, with leaders. It's not just a security thing. AI is not anymore just a security or just a technology aspect. Is to sit with legal and privacy and data scientists and engineers. It's a collective effort, I think. So it will really need to just understand from strategy perspective. Again, going back to the governance, that's important. Adoption and integration process as well. And yeah, start from there. I think we have, of course, you can, also, I think we published a few articles about it, but we're talking a little bit about the governance, about threat framework modeling. I know you mentioned governance is boring. So if you want to really get into which I understand, no one wants to pay for that or to actually do that, but it's highly important. Is, every executive order of AI or framework talked about how important it is to be transparent and responsible AI and trust AI. So it is, I think this is key. And threat framework is very, very important. That's the actually really more depth and detailed around those AIs and kind of how you're looking each of them to implement. So yeah, and just be aware, educate your organization, educate of course, your employees, have a policy of what we allow, what we don't allow, what you can use and what not, and make them understand the risks for the organization. And yeah, I think it's exciting. Just go with the wave as well. I think it's a lot of great opportunities as well.
Yes, it is, and it's a tough challenge. And like I said, if you're not stressed out enough, you'll be stressed out more by this. I would never encourage drinking, but like I said, the wine in Italy is really cheap and good. But no,
So you're
no,
not
we
worried.
never say that. No.
You're
Well,
not worried about an autonomous robot that has AI that can fly. That's a drone
Go
that
to
also
Italy,
has
bring wine.
EDR and MDR built into it that can inject. Oh, I'm sorry.
we're getting into some crazy stuff. But you know what, Karen? I've said it before on the show and elsewhere. I'm with you. I want the Optimus or whatever it is to do the laundry, take out the garbage,
Exactly.
sweep the patio so I can hang out, mow the lawn. Oh, I can't wait for that.
Do my
Yeah.
dissertation.
So we
Oh
can
no, I can't do
actually
that.
have, like, it's the idea is the human have more time instead of repetitive tasks. So we have more time to decision making, strategic thinking, quality of life. Again, I know there is a huge part beside that, and a lot of people will start with, the AI go rogue and the future, and, like Adam's mentioned as well. But I tend to be excited versus scared. And if that's the future, that's the future.
I'm excited because if I know how to use it and I know how to sell it, I know how to make money.
Yes, exactly.
And I can also tell you, you need to be realistic. It's like I'm not getting the robot haircut until it's like at least version 25.
Right.
So
I saw it like a
We
robot
gotta,
in, I think, China doing a surgery and like in the eye, and I'm like, I'm not letting any robots yet
oh, I
there
know
with
about
any
that. Yeah,
knives around me.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
was that a dig at me, Joe, about the haircut thing?
No, you should be just as nervous. I mean, do, do you want some buggy AI shaving your head? I don't think so.
We're not trusting them yet. So
No,
trust is
it's going to
important
take
with
a
AI,
while.
that's for sure.
That's right.
You've
All
been
right. Well,
amazing, Karen. Thank you.
yes,
Thank you
Karen, thank you so
guys.
much for
You've been
joining.
great and wonderful, and thank you for a lovely conversation. I'm always here to talk about AI. As you see, it's my favorite topic.
To AI.
To
That's right.
AI,
AI,
to the robots
and
of the
to you,
future.
Karen. That's right. It's going to be a great future, and it's going to be exciting. And it's even more exciting if you give us your comments on what you think about AI. What do you want more? Put in the comments. Do you want the AI robot for your house, or do you want an AI ransomware defender?
Or
These are
do
the
you want
questions.
Adam to come by your house and fly the drone and do surveillance for AI?
Or do you want a digital twin of yourself that can do
Oh,
your
yeah.
actual work and podcast? I'm trying to build my own AI digital twin and do podcasts with it. Let's see when that happens. Definitely
Karen,
will have you there.
you're trying to kill my profession and my side hustle.
No,
Wow,
I
this
know,
that's
right?
this will
rough, you
take
know.
time. The fact that I'm trying versus actual, it's just an idea out there. So maybe we can
Notice
all
how
work on that together.
Karen snuck that right in there at the end. Joe,
Seriously.
Security Cocktail Hour is now owned by Karen.
All right,
By
there
my
we go.
digital twin.
Your digital
But
twin. Okay, well, you know what? You have your digital twin talk to my digital twin, and we'll figure
exactly.
it all out. All right. Well,
Thank you,
thanks
guys.
again,
Exactly.
Karen.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks
Bye.
everyone for listening. Take care.